as we were discussing, those who are in the 5D collective create awareness, and they don't do the whole trending topics bit. A person who cares about their own inner and outer well-being will notice the difference, whether they are expanding in their spirituality awakening, Kundalini awakening, or not, whether they are having clairs or not. What does it mean? It means that you're going to be grounded. If you care about your health, and you're going to know, I'm going to make sure that it's not, when I go through something, an actual psychosis, versus just trust the trending topics, which instead some people do. And I'm using that as an example because this is very important, since ascension energies trigger trauma memory. Although, again, the 4D collective not really doing a great job on defining that, because they're busy in the plane of duality, of evil, Knievel, medieval, and talking about people, for example, sirens and mermaids. And I understand the stories. I get it. They're from the past. But today we have a present that informs us of how our body and our mind, the somatics, is made. And so that every human being is love, like our lovely Sadhguru says, but he's a spirituality guru, not a sciences man, although he meets with the science people. But the sciences people, sometimes they highlight too much the spirituality when they're talking about somatics. That's what I noticed. So here, I'm going to highlight the human part. I noticed the ascension energies trigger people's trauma memory. I also noticed that people have their patterns. I'm trauma-informed and somatic-informed, and the 4D doesn't move out of it. And I also noticed that some people do have psychoses or nervous breakdowns or things of that nature, and they want to continue doing things within the mystic community, and they find actual shamans, tarot readers, and Akashic record readers, and all the people in the mystic community, I raise my hand, that don't talk to them about their mental health, one, and to keep in mind their stability, and really what it is your energy level. So automatically, if you're a 5D collective anything, you're going to be like, okay, let's take 2 steps before we do anything, is how are you emotionally, and how do you handle stress, and how are you feeling every day in your life, and how are you with the system and world? Because if you start talking to me about devils and demons and evils and conspiracies, I'm going to say, I'm not sure you're expanding, one, and just let you in on that right away, and say, 2, let's stay grounded in reality, because energy sphere is energy, even though it is, of course, an experience that we all know, a mystic will know, it's not just energy. It's a very beautiful, beautiful awareness expansion. That's the point, not scary. Those who get scared and those who have fear in the 4D collective, who has decided to stick to the storylines, and again, that's for them, because there's a reason some people, back to mental health, don't care to get their patterns. So some have very straightforward patterns. They don't even have actual breakdowns. And when they do, they end up in the hospital. I met one person once. They told me about this thing. And I said, look, I understand you want a Reiki session, but I need to talk to you first about my informed somatic and trauma courses material, because your mental health is what's important. And you want to ensure that your energy body is moderately adapting, one, because there's an energy body that needs time to adapt, and your nervous system is connected to this, so your brain's going to be connected. So you need to first take it easy. And then I'm just going to do my due diligence to make sure you stay healthy. I'm not going to give you a Reiki session unless I know that whatever comes up, your window of tolerance, where are we? What do we need to check out? You need a window of welcome for emotions. So this is where people don't like to be talked to. They don't like to learn. The ones who are doing the trending topics, those are teenagers. So, and here's where an adult will not support an unhealthy anything. And so we won't shame, though, blame, fault, or revenge. We won't be talking about people like sirens or mermaids, energy vampires, and dark auras. No, we're going to be talking about people who have trauma in a shame cycle, and their actual brain is working on a loop with the dark sides of neuroplasticity, because they didn't get interested in. Thank you to the lady who shared what she wished she would have known before she began trauma. And she's a CPTSD, childhood post-traumatic stress disorder, and PTSD. She says EMDR, working with child parts, or the IFS model, and then somatics, all 3 together, and a therapist that's good. So that's 1. 2, the Kundalini person, you should follow if anyone's interested, because he's really good, knows his stuff, he's spelling out things in a way that is legit, meaning not trending. Shaman Nabil Redwood is his name. And he's on TikTok and Instagram. I don't remember his name on Instagram, but TikTok it is. And we also want to look at, I want to share with you Patrick Tiahan, even though I don't remember if I got what I needed, so one second. He has a post today that is really, really great, and I'm going to read it. You can find him on YouTube, and he is a childhood trauma survivor, healed in healing, and a therapist. Healing, I say, because he knows his story, but he's definitely his own adult. He's reparented, otherwise he wouldn't be doing therapy and talking about healing and healed and have a community. Okay, so he talks about something that a childhood trauma survivor person will know of. I don't know how to be if things are not my fault. And he spells out, when we are deep into our childhood trauma work, we hit a series of rigid barriers. He says one of them is what I call a no man's, but a new gender, land. Being out in a no man's land is the surreal experience of not engaging in our trauma identity rooted in survival strategies. These are survival strategies such as fawning or feeling, and he puts in parentheses, people pleasing or using things to escape. He says, but we need to learn how to be in the world without the old way of navigating. And then he says, we have yet to learn how to take risks and fully be ourselves. We have yet to learn who we are. We are on shaky ground, trying to advocate space for ourselves in big and small ways. He says, I learned how to be in the world by mimicking healthier people I met in recovery communities such as group therapy or 12-step. I am a good watcher and adapter. Many of us are, and I could mimic being more present and forthright from others. Okay, so this part, for example, I was watching a reader. I really like the person. I like a lot of my lovely readers out there, colleagues, but some of them, they don't know when they're talking about, so the description of a siren, they're talking about a person who has childhood trauma, who needs to mimic to understand, because see, the thing is they're mimicking doesn't mean they're not going to embody it. They're trying to figure the world out. A person who doesn't know how to love themselves because it's confusing and a shaming letdown is because they didn't get it the first year of life. They need to meet securely attached people, integrated people. And here's the 5D collective, the 5D mystics, the Enlightenment soul age groups, the functional adults, the people who have their humanity. The ones who know, yeah, there ain't no devil or demon in any person, no matter what story you would have given me, even as a kid. And actually, here's the thing. As a kid, I had Jesus and God, and they both said the same thing, which was that if evil ever came across my path, I'd be able to look them in the eye and be loving. And that's the humanity. So when we look at people, 4D doesn't do this. They're in their story. Why? Because they are all adaptive children. That's why. And they haven't realized that they're looking outside with the pedestal of, I want to see a world that I feel. There's a lot of components to this. And they have their silverback leading the way. And there's belief systems, thoughts, lifestyle. Some people, for example, polyamory. They will judge polyamorous individuals such as myself as a no-gooder. Or people who smoke, women who curse. For example, there's plenty of people that do that too, right? They judge. So the ones who are 5D, they're not judging. They're out there loving, and they're out there saying stop. The siren, and the way that the person again described, is a match to a person who's trying to improve their life. So they have no other option except to look to people. If they figure out that they can get better also with the feeling, it's because they understand, oh wait, I have trauma memory in my body. Let me go and take care of this and get my head and my body all in one, and loving myself no longer confusing once you've reparented. Once you have your inner child by the hand, because you've understood your psyche, not because you're doing some yoga, okay? You need to understand as a human why the yoga works. It works your ventral vagal nervous system. It's a bunch of ventral vagal nervous system toning exercises, but you're not only exercises, you're also thoughts. And that's the mind part. And so if you don't change that story, you can't change it if you don't know there's nothing wrong with you, but that there's areas of emotions that get explored if you do the work. So he finishes up by saying healthy people also gave him feedback that he was funny and well-spoken. However, he said they also challenged me when I didn't take that initially. And then he says, this led me to figure out how I wanted to be in the world. But of course, we watch and learn how to be in the world from our parents or caretakers. So there's nothing wrong with watching and adapting. It's part of the process of becoming someone. We're here to support each other by leading with example, which is where 5D collective, unconditionally loving and creating relationships, no drama, because we're all human, and our oversoul, FYI, they're all family. So 4D creates separation with their way of organizing contracts, divines, karmics. It's teenage land, but for the grown-up land, tune on in for more and be compassionate. remember,